His Holiness has a huge breadth of knowledge about, obviously, the Ahmadiyya community, about what is going on internationally. I just saw him talk to a representative from the Canadian government, and he seemed on top of what was happening in Canada, in all sorts of countries, talking about the faith in Africa. So he's a man of great knowledge.
Nowadays, many countries of the world have multicultural societies and are home to various religions. By listening to each other's views and opinions, and by regularly meeting one another, doubts and suspicions are naturally eliminated. And it also increases the tolerance. When you become acquainted with others, even to a limited degree, then very minor and small matters are not made an issue of. In fact, they are ignored. Further, when we interact with one another, it naturally leads us towards being more open-hearted and generous. We cannot attribute the world's lack of peace on just one or two factors. In fact, there are multiple reasons which are all contributing the increasing disorder. I shall name just a few. The world's economic crisis has contributed hugely to global unrest and increased frustrations amongst the masses. Another major cause of division is internal power struggles within countries. And then, in many nations, the rights due to members of the public are being unjustly usurped. Another factor is that some parties seek to demonstrate their power and might by treating others extremely cruelly. Further, a root cause of division is a lack of justice in the world. This is leading directly to a complete lack of mutual confidence and trust. Another cause of unrest is the fact that people or governments look at the wealth and resources of others with a sense of envy and greed. In fact, they do not limit themselves to the envious classes, but actually seek to seize what is not rightfully theirs. As I said, there's a long list of reasons why the world is being consumed by hatred and disorder, and I have only mentioned a few. These issues are of grave concern, and we must reflect over how to solve them so we can seek to establish global peace. Force was not permitted to spread the message of Islam, and that religion was a matter for each person's heart and conscience. Therefore, it is quite clear that it is never permissible in any circumstances to force another person to accept Islam or indeed any religion. For the past 5 or 6 years, I have warned all of those within my reach about the deteriorating state of the world. I have repeatedly said that the worsening financial and political climate is leading the world towards the most horrific destruction. It is quite possible and even likely that the path the world is treading will culminate in a terrifying world war. More than 65 years have passed since the last World War, and I fear that people have forgotten the unparalleled levels of devastation and destruction that it caused. In that global war, more than 70 million people were killed, the majority of whom were innocent people who were dragged into the war. Is that merely delivering or listening to speech or lecture is not enough and will not lead to peace being established. In fact, the key requirement to fulfilling this primary goal is absolute justice and fairness in all matters. The Holy Quran in chapter 4, verse 136 has given us a golden principle and lesson guiding us about this. It states that as a means to fulfill the requirements of justice, if you have to bear witness and testify against even yourself, your parents, or your closest relatives or friends, then you must do so. This is true justice, where personal interests are set aside for common good. If we are examples, nor are the cruel Muslim dictators examples to us, nor are Western powers examples to us. The example that we follow is that of the founder of Islam, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be and blessing of Allah be upon him. And our guiding instructions are the Holy Quran. And so from this Peace Symposium, I send a message to the entire world that the message and teachings of Islam are of love, compassion, kindness and peace. Sadly, we find that a small minority the heart. Although we observe that in today's world, religious wars do not really occur, yet vindictiveness and ill will are meted out against each other. As I mentioned earlier, one unfortunate consequence of this weaponless war is transpiring in some countries where certain completely harmless religious practices and traditions of Muslims are being restricted or prohibited. It is then claimed that these measures have no connection to religion but are necessary restrictions to assist Muslims to integrate into the local society. Anyway, this is a lengthy debate which I do not wish to enter at this time. However, in response to these measures, some Muslims indulge in activities that are completely against the teachings of Islam. So, on both sides, honesty is not being displayed. Mutual love is developed through exhibiting honesty. And honesty entails that there is no difference between what is in your heart and the way you act to the outside world. All parties need to increase dialogue and open the lines of communication so that they can peacefully discuss the best means to solve the problems of the world. These steps are necessary so that global peace can be established. It is my prayer that Allah grants the people of the world the ability to do this.